Hello and welcome to the show. Now, people have wanted me to try another front-wheel drive car around the Hot Wheels Showdown circuit for a little while, and I am going to give it a go. Of course, S1 class with front-wheel drive is rather crazy, quite frankly. You have a huge amount of power going through the front wheels and then asking them to steer as well. That being said, the circuit that we are using doesn't punish front-wheel drive cars as much as you might possibly expect. So the likes of the Civic Type-R, the Dodge Dart, actually have done relatively well, and it is today the turn of the Integra Type-R. Theoretically, could be a relatively good car, while it's unlikely to have perhaps the cornering ability of the Civic Type-R. It is going to be relatively light. 245s on the front aren't too bad a retard. I'd expect 255s at the rear. Yeah, it's going to be relatively light. I believe we can get about 700 horsepower in it, so straight line speed and whatnot should be quite good. Overall, yeah, it might stand a chance of challenging that Civic. Also helps, of course, that the Civic was one of the very early cars to run in the series. I have since got a fair bit more experience with the track. May well play into the Integra's favour, although many things can go wrong around this, around the Hot Wheels circuit, especially if the car doesn't like the bumps. If the car has big issues across the main jump, that could hinder it somewhat. We are just going through, sticking on. We want all of the handling bits that we can get, and we will try and get the car as light as possible. And £2,300 is certainly good going. What are our options in terms of engines? We can have kind of pretty much what I expected. We can have the 2-litre i4. We can have the Turbo Rally, which we're not going to be using. Now, I don't know what the standard engine can do in this car, so I will have a look at building it up. I suspect it won't quite get as much power, but we will throw everything on and see what we can do. With this being a relatively light car and a bit more handling focused, I'm perhaps not going to need the same level of power to get it to the top of S1 class. By the looks of it, it might actually do it. I know the 2-litre swap can get about 700 horsepower in it. This is going to be it's not quite going to do it. It's going to get relatively close. Yeah, I think it'll get towards the top of the class. So let's go and grab that 2-litre. We will then go and give it a big old turbocharger. It's a fractionally heavier engine that we have stuck into it, but things like flywheel, things like driveline, gearbox, and so on will go in the car. By the looks of it, we're going to have the PI. I have also got a cat currently pouncing around. Oh, he's managed to get... So, my cat... So, my cat, he loves the, strips that you pull off, Amazon packages, the little cardboard strips. He goes mad playing with them. He'd rather play with them. We've got him all sorts of toys, doesn't care at all. You get him one of the strips from an Amazon box, and he is more than happy to run around with that for half an hour before he then goes to sleep, like a normal cat. And yeah, he's bought that. He's found one from downstairs. He's brought it up into my office, was batting it around and managed to get it stuck underneath my foot. So... bonus points for kitten there. Right, engine is done at 790. That's weird. I've never seen flywheel decrease PI. It's very peculiar. Normally flywheel jumps the PI by a sort of a PI, maybe even 2 PI per one. That's odd. We're going to put it on the car anyway. I mean, power to weight ratio wise, we are looking pretty solid. 700 horsepower, £2,400 is not bad going, of course. Yes, that is all of the power going through the front wheels. So handling is going to be an interesting one. I think we're just about ready to go. Cat has got distracted by something else now, so he's not jumping around on my foot anymore. That's kind of a bonus. I think he's got to the sleepy stage now. Shall we go and test out the Integra, see how fast it can go? So we're off to the skyscraper takeoff circuit with our Integra. I will have 5 laps to try and go as fast as possible. The current time to beat for a front-wheel drive car is 1:35.0, set by the Civic Type-R. I think the only other front-wheel drive car to go is the Dodge Dart at 1:35.2, so we can get into the low 35s, we'll be doing well with this. In fact, if we can sneak into the 34s, that would be, that's what we're aiming for. Sneak the Integra into the 34s. That is going to rely on a few things. We need to be relatively fast in a straight line. The Dart, for example, was actually a surprisingly quick car in terms of its straight line speeds. By the bottom of the loop, it was about 222 miles an hour, which is better than quite a lot of more sensible cars have done in terms of speed. And the Civic was very, very good through the corners. That Type R has got an incredible chassis. Perhaps one of the best front-wheel drive cars I've ever driven. So if the Integra is going to compete with them, it needs to it needs to be a very, very good car. It needs to be very good through the corners, have crazy straight line speed, but still be pretty decent through the corners. We've seen straight line speed alone will not work around here. These medium speed corners can kill a lap very, very quickly. We are struggling, as expected, a bit with understeer. Straight line speed, pretty good. 170 miles an hour into the crossover point. We're only, what is that, 7 miles an hour, 8 miles an hour down on the 1,000 horsepower Gremlin that had rear-wheel drive, big rear tyres and so on. So straight line speed-wise, we're not doing too bad. I'm impressed with that. In the Integra, it's that understeer that might potentially cost us as we head up towards the jump pads. Will we be able to get a good boost off of this second one? Yes, we can. 207 miles an hour we go, up around the loop. Relatively light car, shouldn't have too much issue dragging itself around here. We'll dive to the inside for the run. It's 221. Oh, a little bit of a lock up there, but have got it stopped. Oh, got it stopped on the first part, not quite for the very final corner. A little bit skew whiff around there. We'll perhaps slightly compromise this second lap with a little bit of a dodgy run onto it. Not sure I want second gear. I think second gear is just going to be too much. Third gear will still spin the wheels. I think second gear is just too much wheel spin. Oh, try and find that point, that very, very delicate point between putting the power down and getting wheel spin and understeering straight off the course. Oh, we're okay across the crest. It's got a strain. I'm so used to that crest. Rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive cars hitting the crest and then getting oversteer off towards the wall. In this, you hit the crest and the front wheels, I don't think actually the car gets airborne, but the front wheels just get lifted off ever so slightly. That then causes them to spin because, well, there's 700 horsepower going through, and you come back down, that wheel spin continues and just wants to cart you off towards the wall with understeer. It's something new to have to try and deal with. Third gear, no, it's can't quite get to full throttle in third gear. You can't quite do it. Just flick the car into this really, really nasty corner. We can still get away with carrying pretty decent speed. I'm impressed with the corner speed that this car is able to take. It's not got crazy front tyres. It's not 245s are fairly common in terms of front tyre size, but that's with rear-wheel drive cars. You're asking this to do double the work with those front tyres, and it is doing a good job. Thankfully, the car is nice and light, and of course the Integra is a pretty bloody good chassis to begin with. Up towards the line, we're into the 35s, the 35.9. We need more speed. I say we need. I would like more speed than that. It's certainly not an embarrassing lap time, that one. But there might be potential for a little bit more. Hug the inside around turn 1. I'm trying to get it as fast as I can through there. The Evo was doing about 125, 126 miles an hour flat out around that corner. We're doing about 118-ish, and I think that was very much about 120 by the time we left the corner. That's very much on the limit of what I can do with this car. It just doesn't have the grip to do any more. We were really wiggling our way through there. Got to lift off the throttle around that turn, but we can get a good acceleration down towards the crossover point. Up to 172 miles an hour is very, very good going indeed. I think I want second gear through here. I think if I put third in that section, it's going to bog down a bit trying to get going. Of course, a big turbocharger on a Honda VTEC engine, and we're going to have not much power in terms of the low end. So, yeah, I think that's... While third gear elsewhere is working, I don't think it will out of that crossover point. Now, can we get another big boost off of the pad? A little bit of a wheelie approaching. It's not going to work. Oh, that's a big spin That's a very, very, very big spin, and now we're stuffed. Gravity, do your work. Or not. You know what? That's fine. I was expecting it just to plop me off the course, but apparently no. I would like to get turned around. Unfortunately, we need to back up here to get some speed, otherwise we won't make it around the loop. We were a little bit twisted on the takeoff, and that just bounced, and once it's bounced, you're just not going to regain control easily in anything. I would have perhaps thought the Integra might have got away with it a little bit more, certainly than some other cars, but yeah, it was asking a little too much. That's a shame. That lap was looking pretty good, actually, as we're going to run down towards... Still got 200 miles an hour on the run down towards that final corner, despite everything that went wrong there. 2 more laps. 2 more laps to go. I'm trying to balance the not spinning the wheels while still carrying speed through that turn 1. We had, last time out, the Ford Crown Vic that wanted to oversteer all its way through turn 1. Now we've just got to try and balance the understeer. I just can't maintain. I can get to an okay speed on the exit of that corner, and it's a good enough acceleration down towards this next corner, but I just can't maintain the corner speed. With these turns often being sort of a small go on the brakes, and then you largely kind of power through the corner. When you have a front-wheel drive car like this that doesn't quite have the grip, you're trying to apply any of that power, and it's just understeer wide, so you're losing 6-7 miles an hour, maybe 10 miles an hour, depending on the corner, just because you can't get to the throttle, because you're asking the front wheels to try and deal with putting that 700 horsepower down and steering all at once, and there is only a finite amount of grip that the rubber can provide. It's always going to be the difficulty with cars like these. The Civic did an incredible job of finding grip, of being able to grip. This does well, do not get me wrong. This Integra is a nice car to drive, but it's just not quite. It's not quite as good as the Civic. The Dart, I can't actually remember what size tyres the Dart had at the front. The Dart actually did a remarkably good job as well of being not terrible to drive. It's about as quick as the Dart in terms of straight line speed. It was a terrible lap, that one. We have got one more chance to go quicker in the Integra. We're good through turn 1 and 2. That was a nice start to the lap. What can we do through turn 3? Try and get on that power as early as I dare. Get the understeer, cart the car wide. It's pretty good through there, but I think it's about 12 miles an hour down on the apex speed that the Evo could do there. We're about 113 and the Evo's doing 125. That's the difference in cars. Now this is quicker than the Evo in terms of the acceleration, certainly mid-corner or the mid-speed acceleration. Sorry, that is where we will claw back some time. Not sure it's going to be enough to overcome that sort of time loss through the corners. Oh, not quite such a good run into the crossover section. We had a small lock-up. Got away with it. Oh, tried to get on the power mid-corner. We just get a bit of understeer, having to lift off and correct all of that. I like fourth gear. Fourth gear is nice because we don't get any wheel spin in fourth. Try and get it round. It's next. It does not like. I mean, not a lot of cars have like that tightening radius corner, but in this front-wheel drive machine, we are struggling a fair bit. Now, launch it towards the boost pad we go. It is a good run for this final attempt. Up around the loop we head. 195 miles an hour held is not too shabby, as we're going to hug the inside for the run down towards the final corner. It was 222 miles an hour in the Integra. It was lovely around the very final corner. Oh, 35-2. That's more like it. That's a good final lap. Very, very pleased with that as a final lap. Not sure there was a huge amount more for the Integra there. It's right in the mix. It's right in the mix. In fact, where is those times? Didn't quite beat the Dart. It did not quite beat the Dart. We do have another tie though. The Integra, the front-wheel drive machine, is going to go into a joint 28th place. It sets an identical time to the Napalm Nova. It beats the Porsche 914. It beats the Gremlin. Mercedes A45 loses out just fractionally to that Dodge Dart. We're a couple of tenths down on the Civic Type-R. It's a good showing, though. It's a good show. Again, another front-wheel drive car goes relatively fast. Let's not forget, this car has got, what, 18 PI left to get to the top of S1 class. That's a pretty... let's say it's a fair chunk of PI that can't be used, if you like, with this car. It's pretty much maxed. Yeah, I feared we might have had a little bit worse. It's that the straight line speed, the acceleration, does make up for some of these cars. I say deficiencies through the corners, it's just what you've got to expect at a circuit like this. While we don't have the kind of traction zones, that slow speed stuff, we do have a lot of sort of on-power corners, if you like. Corners that you carry a lot of speed through and you'll be on the throttle a lot of the time. And front-wheel drive with this much power and this skinnier tyres is always going to struggle to make it work. But still, that's a good time, a low 35. It's a very... The whole table now is getting very crowded. It's, yeah, it's right up there. It's respectable, very respectable showing for the front-wheel drive machine. That, though, is going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.